to our candidate forum here. Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Bob Baumgart. I'm the owner of Homestead Senior Care. I'm also a board member for the Waukee Chamber of Commerce, co-chair of the Government Affairs Committee. So thank you all for coming again here. On behalf of the Waukee Area Chamber of Commerce, we'd like to thank you for your involvement tonight and for your participation in the candidate forum. We like to also thank Willard Garage for sponsoring this event here. Willard, the chamber is made up by a group of small businesses, and these events are made possible by those small businesses, and Willard Garage was the one that was able to help us put this on tonight, so we'd like to thank them. These are the candidates for the Waukee State Representative District 44 attending tonight here. We have Anna Bergman and Kenan Judge. We'd like to thank you guys both for being willing to attend tonight. Our committee also appreciates our video partner, Natasha. Natasha back here in the corner. Natasha, do I have your last name right? Sofrin? Sofrin, thank you. She will record all of this. We will post it to the Chamber's website, so if you want to review it for whatever reason, you're more than welcome to, but you won't need to take your own because it'll be out there. It'll be made available pretty short following this tomorrow, not probably tonight, but tomorrow. We, as the Chamber of Commerce, endeavors to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. While we conduct today's meeting, we expect that all participants here and here respect both of those, all of those in a manner consistent with Waukee's principles. So, thank everybody for being here and being a participant, but please, everybody, be respectful with that. At this time, I would like to recognize a few of our dignitaries here. There's myself as a Waukee board member, but I don't think there's any others willing to that are here. Are there? Melinda, did I miss any? There's no other board members here? Okay, we have Melinda Bain, who's our executive director of the Waukee Chamber of Commerce, and we have Kim Hughes back here as well from the Chamber of Commerce. Mayor Peard, right here, sorry. Mayor Peard, thank you so much for coming. Councilmember Lyon, I thank you for coming. I didn't see any others sneak in, did I? Hughes, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Shelley Hughes is here too. We've got Dallas County Recorder Chad Earhart back here, and I'm sure he doesn't want me to introduce him, but Mark Hansen, our Dallas County Board of Supervisors, is here as well. And then we'd like to give a big thank you to Deputy Hawk, which is out there keeping us all safe and sound back there, she snuck in. Keeping us all safe and sound here tonight. So thank everybody here that commits your time to the public good and the good of Waukee and Dallas County and the people of Iowa. We can't thank you enough. I'd like to have you guys welcome our two candidates, Anna Bergman and Kenan Judge, and I will hand the mics over to them very quickly for a quick bio, and we'll start in alphabetical order if that's okay with you guys with Anna Bergman.
Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Melinda, and everybody at the Chamber for putting this event on. You guys always do such a great job with these forums. They are usually very informative. Hopefully I'm informative this evening. And I just want to thank each of you for spending the evening here, because I know that you could be a lot of places on a Thursday night. So thank you for taking the time to at least get to know us a little bit, and hopefully this is helpful to you. My goal tonight is just to make sure that you understand me a little bit better, understand why I'm running, and hopefully we can identify on some issues that are important for Iowa. So I know many of you in here, but for those of you that I have not had the privilege of meeting yet, I am Anna Bergman. I'm in my second term on the Waukee City Council. So I sit right here every Monday night, and it has been a very rewarding experience to be able to serve at the Waukee level. And I was here just a year ago for the City Council Forum. So really this has been, it's been a real treat to serve in Waukee because this is my home. This is my home. It's where I was raised. raised here by small business owners. I'm a small business owner here as well. And this is just, it's important to me that I'm able to represent my friends, my family, and my neighbors. And that's what brought me here. That's what brought me into the public service arena, and that's why I stay. That's why I'm sticking around. Rob Taylor was a good friend, is a good friend, and he has just always done the right thing for Waukee, and so we hope that we get somebody in here that is willing to do that as well. And as most of you probably know, our district is all of Waukee, and then it is the Dallas County portion of West Des Moines and the Dallas County portion of Clive. So it is geographically a fairly big district, covers a lot of ground, and probably a lot of you do know that I'm from here. We lived over by Jordan Creek, and then moved to Waukee for the small town feel, which most of you, if you've seen Waukee in the last 10 or 15 years, not quite a small town anymore. And we often say on council that when we're making decisions up here on the dais, we're making decisions for 20 years down the line. And that is something that is absolutely critical to a district that is growing so quickly. We're in one of the fastest growing counties in the country, one of the fastest growing cities in the state. And really, we have a lot of good things going on in this district. So, and so just by way of background, I suppose, I'm an attorney by trade. I went to Drake Law School, JD and MBA, and then I own a horseback riding facility here. So we just relocated, which was a very interesting experience. You never know how much stuff you have in a business until you try to move it all. So I've had my own business here for 7 years, and my parents own trucking companies. So we grew up at least understanding, what it means to treat your employees well and to do the right thing and to work hard. There are days that I think back to the experiences that I had as a kid here in Waukee that I just don't know, that kids get anymore. I grew up learning how to throw hay and drive a truck and a trailer, and you're out there, cold, 100 degrees, negative 30, you're out there working. And that's why I attribute a lot of that to my family and to my parents for being willing to say, kids need to learn how to work hard. And it's something that I take with me in the city council, and it's something that I hope to take that experience up to the state house. I think there are a lot of great things that we can learn from local government. We can learn how government needs to be efficient. We can learn how government needs to be close to the people. And that is something that we take a lot of pride in Waukee, and something that I think will be very helpful up at the state house. So again, I'm sure we will have plenty of time to get into the issues this evening, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background why I'm here, and thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Bergman. And now, Kenan Judge, can we please have a little synopsis of your history? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you to the Chamber for allowing us to do this tonight. I think it's very important, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And I also want to thank Anna for running. It's not always easy, but it's important. And I appreciate her taking the time to run and do this. I think that any candidate that puts themselves out there should be thanked. So a little bit about myself. I'm married to my wife, Kathy, 35 years. We've raised 4 daughters here in the Waukee area, lived in Clive and in Waukee. I've had a great career with a great company called Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee gave me a chance. I worked for Hy-Vee 38 years, started at the very bottom as a meat cutter, and worked my way up through various positions throughout that organization, the last 18 as a group vice president, and ran our meat, seafood, and deli for the entire company. Kathy and I decided to retire 2.5 years ago, and part of that retirement, we talked about it at length, should be to serve. And in serving, we looked at nonprofits. There's a couple nonprofits we love and help, and we think that's great, but this opportunity came up, and I think it's a bigger stage, one that I'm qualified for and one that I'm willing to serve at. And I think that's what we got to talk about a little bit. It should be a service. State legislature should be a service to Iowa. And I'll make this promise to you sitting here tonight. I'll be civil. I'll work hard for Iowans, and I'll compromise. I think it's something we're missing and something that we need to have. So in saying that, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, and it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. Thank you both for those introductions there. And I think both of those lead perfectly into our first question. And we will go, these questions will alternate back and forth by first answer here, and we'll start in alphabetical order if that's still okay. What uniquely qualifies you to hold office in Waukee? Councilmember Bergman, if you don't mind answering first.
Sure. So I'll start by saying that each of you in this room is qualified to hold office. We are all qualified to hold office, and really all you need is a heart to serve. You really just have to have a passion for it, and that's the biggest thing that I have. I too was volunteering for nonprofits, working a good job, and just wanted to do more. Wanted something where I could give back more to the community that raised me. And then the opportunity came for an open seat on the city council, which those of you that were part of that, it was a very unique experience, going through the appointment process. And learning that and going through that process and being able to serve on the city council, that has given me a wealth of understanding on how our local government works. I mean, we sit here every spring in our strategic planning sessions deciding what Waukee is going to look like 15, 20, or more years down the line. And we decide what our priorities are for the next year. We make sure that we're prioritizing things that our citizens need, that our citizens want. And then most of all, our big job is making sure that we have a budget that works, making sure that we are providing the services that our citizens need as efficiently as we possibly can. So being able to have that government experience that's been absolutely invaluable to me. Other than that, as an attorney, I always say I'm not a real attorney because really all I do is I negotiate contracts. And a huge part of that negotiation is understanding the regulations that are impacting our businesses. And then on the other side, having my own small business, growing it literally from the ground up, that teaches you a lot. And I started that business when I was in college, ran it through law school and through my MBA. And really, I just have a huge passion for it, but I do have a lot of experience that I think will be very helpful, especially at the local government level.
Thank you. And Mr. Judge, what uniquely qualifies you to hold elected office that represents Waukee?
You bet. Thank you. I think that the best thing that how I can describe this is life experience. I've raised a family here in Clive and Waukee, 4 daughters. My wife Kathy and I have been married 35 years, and I think you learn a lot just by growing up, raising a family, paying taxes, making sure you're making a living, working hard. Then I think Hy-Vee has given me a great opportunity. In Hy-Vee, which is one of the best organizations, obviously in the state, one of the best organizations, taught me a lot too. It taught me what the importance of customer service is. And customer service, I think, can transcend into this office. Because you're really working for Iowans and doing the right thing, making the right decisions, and staying above the fray of partisan politics. I think that's very important. And then I think going to work every day, 38 years, the last 18 of which was a vice president and ran a big piece of Hy-Vee's business, I think gives you the sense of what it takes to put a deal together and what it takes to maybe some other ideas, maybe your idea isn't always the best. Maybe other ideas that you hear are better. And I think we have to look at state government and how can we compromise and do what's best for Iowans.
Perfect. Thank you guys both for those answers. And with that, we'll move on to our next question. We'll start with Mr. Kenan, Judge here. If you could sit down with our governor and talk about one topic, what would that one topic be?
If I could sit down with our governor, first of all, it'd be a privilege. But second of all, I think I'd talk to her. I think the most important thing we have to talk about today, and it can only be one topic, right? Okay. I would say the most important thing we have to talk about is mental health care and also the Medicaid program. I think those are two areas that are the number one areas that we need to work together and find solutions for.
Excellent, thank you. And Councilmember Bergman, what one topic would you choose to discuss with the governor?
That has to be the hardest question, I think. Governor Reynolds is a great friend of mine, and we do sit down. We do sit down and talk about the issues because it's important. It's very important to have access to someone that's in leadership, and she absolutely is doing. She is the hardest working legislator or elected I know. I think the biggest topic that we need to talk about is our workforce. We have a workforce shortage, and we have a workforce shortage for a lot of different reasons. One of those reasons being mental health. We have people that aren't showing up to work because they are suffering from addiction. They can't get themselves to go to work because they're addicted to opioids or substances. That's something that we need to address. But ultimately, our businesses can't grow if we don't have skilled workers that are willing and able to get to work. And that stems into a lot of things. I mean, workforce shortage really touches a lot of different areas. But what we need to do is sit down with our businesses and sit down and realize, where can they better target, our kids that are going through our education system and get them the skills training and the job training that they need to then be an employable worker in Iowa's economy. That's how we keep our businesses growing, and that's how we keep Iowa moving forward. Honestly, I think that's a topic that we are talking about. We are absolutely talking about that right now. We're talking about it here in Waukee. We're talking about it downtown at the Capitol, and it's something that we need to continue that discussion. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, both of those are obviously hot button issues right now, and that leads us right into our next question perfectly, which is another one of those hot button issues, which is the topic of education. A recent study has shown that Waukee has been Iowa's top public high school. Ms. Bergman, we'll start with you. What do you think is going right on the topic of education, and what would you suggest for improvement?
Sure. So I'm Waukee K-12. So I'm a product of the public education system right here in our district, and proud to be a Waukee graduate. Very proud to be a Waukee graduate, because I do think we have a phenomenal education system here in Iowa. We're 5th in the nation right now, and that is a big deal. That is a huge deal. One of the things that I think is going right is that we are constantly looking for ways to provide more flexibility to our schools. I am a strong believer that local government is the most efficient form of government. I believe that our local electeds are those that are closest to the voters. Our school board members, they know our teachers the best. They know their administration the best. They know their students. They know their buildings. So we need to be giving them the resources that they need to do their job. And really, they know better than we do at the state level. They absolutely do. So one of the things that is going right is that we continue to find ways to give them more flexibility and being able to hire mental health professionals, more flexibility and being able to spend their money, use their resources more efficiently. But that's an ongoing conversation. So I think one of the things that we need to continue to do, what we can do to make it better, is make sure that we are looking through these very complicated school finance laws and saying, what can we do? How can we take away these silos and give them the resources that we can? Constantly looking for more ways that we can get money into our school system. That's what we need to do. That's something that is tough. It's tough in a hard budget year, but it's something that we need to at least be open to.
Thank you. And Mr. Judge, what do you feel the state is of Iowa is doing right now currently with education? What do you think we could improve upon in the future?
I like the way you phrase that question, because I think we do need to talk more what's going right and how we can do better. I believe that the heart of a teacher in a classroom is what makes Iowa great. That is the most important aspect. As a kid that grew up on a farm in a poorer county down in southern Iowa, I understand how the value of education is and how important it is to this state. So I believe that the first bite out of the apple of the budget should go to education. 8 out of the last 9 years, we have not funded education to where we need to be. I think we have plenty of resources in this state, but I believe that we need the first bite out of that budget should be fully fund education and keep up with inflation. And it's very important because it's what we're going to look like in 20 years. It isn't necessarily what we look like today. And I want to go back to teachers. We have to pay the teachers the best. We have to take care of teachers because the heart of a teacher in a classroom is what makes this state tick. It's what businesses want as a trained workforce. And I believe that education is the number one issue, one of the number one priorities of the state and should be kept there.
Thank you. And you're right, education is one of the larger bites out of the apple for taxation dollars and where they go. And with that, we'll move on to the next topic, which is those allocation of tax dollars and where they actually do go. Human services is also another very large bite out of that same apple, as you put it. Are there modifications to the public benefit that you could advocate for right now with those human services dollars? And if so, what may those be, Mr. Judge?
Well, I believe everything starts with growing the economy. I think that if we can grow this economy in a larger percentage, then we're going to have the resources we need to fund our programs that Iowans want. The second quarter of this quarter, we had a decrease in economic growth. I think we need to be talking as a group, what is it going to take to get this economy growing? Not only in the metro, but across the state, rural Iowa. So I think those are very important topics. Before we can talk about how we're going to spend money, we have to talk about how we grow this economy. And I think that that the Health and Human Services, the Medicaid program, as well as the mental health, we need to make sure we're spending our money wisely and smart. And I think that is something that we need to have deeper discussions into, is how we structure those two programs to use our dollars to go back to people and not big corporations. And I think that's the most important thing that we have to focus on. We have to focus on individuals and people and who need those services.
Thank you. And Councilmember Bergman, the same question to you. If there's modifications to that Health and Human Services portion of the budget that you would advocate for, what are they and how would you enact them?
So I agree with a lot of what you said, Kenan. Honestly, at the end of the day, if we look at our state budget, most of our budget is going to education and health services. Our human services, excuse me. That's the bottom line, is that we are looking at that every year. That's our job. That's the job at the state level, is to look and see, what do Iowans need? What do Iowans need? What services do they need? How do we get back to that individual that is, struggling to get health services, that is struggling to get the care that they need, and how do we fix that? That's our job. So it's not necessarily that I can sit up here and tell you a one-time solution that is going to be a fix all. What we have to do every year is see what Iowans, what do they need right now. We have a Medicaid system that was very, very broken and inefficient before we moved to managed care. It was incredibly inefficient and now and non-sustainable. And at the end of the day, if we have part of our system that's not sustainable, it takes away monies that we need for other systems. So if we had continued down that route and not moved to managed care, we wouldn't have any money for education. And that's something that we absolutely cannot do. When nearly 45% of our budget is going toward education, that's something we need to continue. New money is being spent in that every single year, and that needs to happen. Same thing with human services. This is not something that we take away. This is our job, is to provide those services. That's the job of a government, to provide those services efficiently and as targeted to individual Iowans as we possibly can.
Thank you for that. Staying on the topic of taxes, but shifting the focus slightly from how we allocate those taxes to the taxes themselves. Businesses in Iowa are obviously heavily impacted by what happens at the State House. Councilmember Bergman, do you feel that the business taxes are currently at a correct level, low, high, and what do you see as the impact of our current business tax policy?
Sure, good question. So we feel this every day as business owners. We feel what we did last year to make Iowa more competitive for businesses to start and to grow. That was good progress. That is progress that we absolutely needed. At the rate we were going, we were one of the highest in business taxes in the country. And that's not Iowa. That's not who we are. We are people that start our own businesses, that run our own farms, that work for a living. We have teachers that have their own businesses that they have in the summertime to make ends meet, to supply what they need for their families. And so we possibly cannot have a tax system here that is penalizing to businesses, to small business owners. What we need to do, I think, is focus the tax breaks, focus the tax cuts on our middle class families, and our small businesses. I think I think the focus will be going forward, at least under this administration. So I think we are making progress in the right direction. We are, as employers, are able to give more money back to our employees. We're able to put more money back into our employees' pockets. And I don't care, what walk of life you come from. Every bit counts. Every bit counts when you're trying to pay those bills or trying to run your own business yourself. So the more that we can do to get money back into our employees' pockets, the better. And what we can do at the state level is take a critical lens and look and see, are we really being competitive? Are we really being fair to our businesses here in Iowa?
Thank you. Mr. Judge, the same question there. Taxes currently for businesses, correct, low, high, and what is your perception on how our tax policy needs to be adjusted?
I'm a product of business. I worked in business 38 years, starting at the bottom of a business, working my way to the top, and having a great opportunity along the way to see a lot of things and see how things grow and what it takes to grow. I'll go back to that business experience, and I use the word return on investment. And if we give a tax credit or a tax break to a business, then we should have a return. The people of this state deserve a return. And we ought to look at each one of those and making sure that return is right, because we have plenty of tax dollars. It's really what it matters is how we're going to spend them and where we're going to spend them at. So I think it's important that we look at this through a business lens as well. Obviously, we have to have business in order to grow. And I think small business is a place that we do need to focus more on. And with taxes, we have to be very careful where we spend our money, but we need to really look at this as a return. And the return to Iowans is through better paying jobs, livable wage jobs, and making sure that we have employment, growth of numbers. And I think that's the key. And we have to look at each one of these, and I'd recommend looking at every tax break, every tax credit in 2019 and making sure that they are fair and that they are doing just that, returning.
Thank you so much for that answer. With the next question, we'll move on to a question about our public school systems there, and we'll start with you, Mr. Judge. How do you propose to fund the growing needs of public schools beyond the 1% of allowable growth when it doesn't cover a cost of living increase?
Well, I'll state what I stated before. I think they get the first bite out of the apple education, and that we do fully fund our schools. I think it's extremely important, not only here in Waukee and West Des Moines and Clive, but it's important to the whole state. And we have to look forward with education, knowing that with the decisions we make today impact this state for years to come. And, kids deserve good education, and we have to fund that in order to pay teachers what they need to be paid, making sure that they have the resources in the classroom. We have way too many teachers spending out-of-pocket money, which I think is not right. They should be able to have the resources they need, and it's where we spend our money. I think education should be the first place we spend it.
Thank you. Councilmember Bergman.
I absolutely agree. When we are looking at our budget and we're seeing that nearly half of our budget goes toward education, and that's for a reason. That's for a reason. It's because Iowa is a leader in education, and we need to continue to be a leader in education. One of the things I think that we've seen across the board, is that compensation and benefits for teachers has gone up in the last year. In the last couple of years, we're seeing that we're hiring more teachers across the state. We have more teachers in Iowa, and those teachers are being paid more. Now, teaching is a hard job. My sister and brother-in-law are both teachers, very different realms, but it is a very hard job. And many of you know that. You know teachers or are one yourself. And we know that they are taxed with a very big responsibility. And we need to make sure that we are taking care of them. What we're doing in Iowa is that every year we're allocating new money toward education. Every year we're making sure that when we are looking at our budget, that nearly half of our budget's going toward education. Those are the things that we are doing in Iowa. Those are the things that we need to continue to do in Iowa. And we're seeing that it's working. Right now, it's working because graduation rates are up. We're seeing that kids are getting practical skills that they need. They're understanding what it's like to be a member of the workforce. They're getting work-based learning opportunities. They're getting opportunities in this school district alone that are just absolutely incredible. They're being able to work with real companies and get that valuable education that they need to then join our workforce. That's something we absolutely have to continue, and it requires new money every year.
Thank you for that. We'll switch gears a little bit to the topic of environment. I was fairly active and aware of things here. Water quality is one of those issues we've had in recent years, Des Moines Waterworks lawsuits in northwest counties of Iowa and soil contamination, nitrates, and so forth. Is there a water quality threat to our state? And what would you as a leader do to prepare us for the challenges with those water quality issues that may be out there?
I think that we've recognized that water quality is an issue in Iowa and something that we have worked toward addressing. One of the biggest things, and I have good friends of mine that they partner in these conservation organizations. And that's because as Iowans, we value the land that we have, and we value having beautiful farmland and nature and access to water recreation, to good quality water, to our beautiful trail systems that we have here. That's a quality of life issue that each and every one of us in this room can say that's a big reason why we stayed in Iowa. It's a big reason why we grew up here, we stuck around here, we started our businesses here, bought your first homes here. That's because we have that quality of life that we value. We took steps last year, the state took steps last year to address water quality. Here in Waukee, it's something that is a big focus for us. Right now we're considering whether we go to a more regionalized water system. That is something, across the political spectrum that we work together. We look at pros and cons. We look at what's best for our citizens, what's best for Waukee moving forward 20 years from now, whether that's a partnership with West Des Moines, whether that's continuing to work with the Des Moines Waterworks. That's something that is a very serious issue, and one that we've spent almost my entire time on the council working through. And continue, we don't have the answer yet. We're still working on that because we know how important that is. So it's something that I've seen and worked with at the local level, and it's something we're doing at the state too.
Thank you. And Mr. Judge, the same question. There is water quality a threat to our state, and what would you do as a leader to prepare us for the challenges that come along with that?
Well, I think water quality is a great topic to talk about because it is so essential in the growth of your state. If you're going to have good economic growth, if you're going to attract businesses, obviously water quality has to be looked at and addressed every year and studied. I'll go back to my business experience, and I think if we look at that through a different lens, that the best way to get water quality is bring more people in on a conversation. I was born and raised in a family farm. I know how important agriculture is to this state. And I think there's not a farmer in this state that doesn't want good quality water. I think we bring people together and talk about it and work towards what is it going to take to make water quality with agriculture. What's it going to take to make our water quality go up? And I think we're going to need to bring them into the into the conversation, because nobody wants bad water. We all want the same thing. We all want good water. So I believe it's important that we bring agriculture, business, and the state together and decide, okay, what's it going to take to get this, to make steps forward. It's not going to happen overnight. This is a big, big issue that we need to work together to fix. I don't know that I can sit here and tell you tonight and wave a magic wand and tell you what it's going to take to get better water quality, but I can sit here and tell you that I'd be willing to work towards it.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. Thank you. And with that, another topic that's been current, this one not just in our state but across our nation, we did have some action here recently this past session in the State House about it. But what are your thoughts on medical cannabis, Mr. Judge? Please answer first.
You know, I think it's a topic that we need to learn more about, and that we need to bring professionals in, especially the pain doctors and doctors in to tell us if we're doing it right. Obviously, they're the ones that are going to be able to give us the insight to what they need. And then I think we need to get a group of people together and work towards that. You know, obviously it's important to a lot of people and could help a lot of people. So we just have to make sure we have the best regulation in place, that we are bringing the people in, the experts, and learning ourselves about it.
Thank you. Councilmember Bergman, the same question on your thoughts about medical cannabis.
So we have brought the experts in. That's what I will say. We've brought the experts in. We have a board of medical experts that has looked at what conditions right now they feel, in their expert opinion, should be allowed to have access to medical marijuana. We have these regulations in place that regulate where it's grown, who's growing it, how it's supplied to those folks. So we do have that system in place, and I think that it works. I think that it works because these medical experts, they know more than we do. I mean, that's their forte, that's their expertise. And so they're constantly reevaluating and seeing what's working, and maybe what other conditions in the future may need to fall under that regulation. So that's something that we have delegated at the state level. And so when they come back to us, and they come back to the State House and say, you know, there are some conditions that we think, you know, maybe this isn't working, or some nuances that aren't working, or there are new conditions that we think would really benefit from this, that's our job then to listen to those experts. So one of the things that I think one of the big reasons that we've been successful in delegating this to the experts is because we all identify that there is an opioid crisis in Iowa. There's a substance abuse epidemic in Iowa, and it's something that we need to address. But we need to address it at the problem level, not the symptom. The symptom is that there are people in pain that aren't getting treated. And there are people that are in pain and they're becoming addicted, and that's causing a slew of different problems in their lives. And so what we can do at the state level is say, what can we do to help fix that problem, help them fix that problem? And so being open to new medicine, and to being open to listen to the experts, that's one thing that we are doing and need to continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those answers. I think we have one final question here, and then we'll have some closing statements by both of you guys, if that's all right. Is the last question, and this has been a kind of a time-old question in American politics, is how long can a person serve in a political office and still be effective and efficient with their constituents? Ms. Burke.
So what I would say is that I don't think that any one of us in this room can put a magic number on it. What the question is not how long have they been serving, but are they still effective? Are our leaders still effective? Are they still listening to their constituents? Are they still listening to the constituents and taking it back to their leadership? That's a question that we need to be asking. And if we have members at the federal level, at the state level, at your local level, it doesn't matter what office it is. If it's city council, school board, or Congress, if they're not being effective, if they're not listening to their constituents and taking those ideas back, they shouldn't be in office. And that's why, here's my plug, it's so important to vote in every single election, every opportunity that you have. Know who your electeds are, because the more that you can get to know your elected, that just helps them do their job. So if we can connect, on whether it's a city issue, whether it's a county issue, whether it's a school issue, that's their job, is to listen and take that back. And if I'm not doing my job as your elected right now, sitting in this chair, I would hope that you would take that opportunity to vote. So that's what I do every day on city council. I wake up and I think, how can I be better for my neighbors today? How can I represent my family better? How can I represent my friends better? And doing that is just being out there. I look at my schedule every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and I say, okay, how can I see more people today? How can I get to know people that are in my district, in my city today? Because that's my job. That's what I need to do. I take that job very seriously. I take a lot of pride in it. And it's something that I think we need more of at the state and the federal level.
Thank you. And Mr. Judge, the same question there. How long can a person serve their constituents while still being effective and efficient?
I don't think I can put a number on that either. I don't. I think it's important that we have leaders that want to serve. That's the key. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this after a career in business, after raising my family, and I feel in the bottom of my heart that more leaders need to step up and serve in a more with more compromise and civility. I think we're lacking that in politics today, and so I think that's the important thing, that we are in there doing it for the right reasons, and that's to give back to this community in this state that we love. So, thank you.
Thank you both here for answering some questions for us tonight. And before I get to your guys' closing statements, I would just like to thank the audience for coming and also say that while we answered some questions, we didn't have time, obviously, to answer all questions. And I know that both candidates are more than willing to answer those questions if you contact their audiences or their offices, and they may, I don't want to put words in their mouth, may have time to step aside for an answer, a question or two tonight as well. But if you do have those questions that did not get answered, please reach out, because I know that they're more than willing to. That's one of the reasons why they're here tonight. So with that, Councilmember Bergman, would you like to make any closing statements here?
I would. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all again for spending your evening with us, letting us come up here and just talk about the things that we care about, that we're passionate about, because it is a big deal. And it absolutely, Kenan, you're right. Running for office is something you have to want to do it. It's not something, for me personally, it's not something I need to do. It's something that I want to do. It's something I work hard to do. We know this. Iowa is a great place to live. We live in the #1 state in the nation, and we are blessed to be here, but also we chose to be here. We chose to move our families here, to raise our families here, to start our businesses here, for a reason. This is a good place to be. And I'm especially biased, I think, because this is my hometown and this is my district. And gosh, Jenna, I care a lot about what goes on here. It means a great deal to me to be able to be a part of it. And I appreciate you guys being willing. I appreciate all of you that voted in the last election for city council and allowed me to still retain that position, because that means a great deal to me. I think what we're going to do, I think we have a lot of good things that we can focus on at the state level. I think we need to make sure that our local government is efficient, that it's transparent, that we know where our taxpayer money is being spent, that we know how it's being spent, and better yet, that we know why. Our job as electeds is to make sure not only that our voters have access to the decisions that we're making, but to the rationale, to the decision-making process behind that. And it's something that we need to take very seriously, and do take very seriously at the city level, and it's something that I look forward to being able to take with at the state level as well. Before we conclude, I just want to share a little story with you. So when I was first appointed to the city council, I truly believed that it was a calling. It was a calling from above, And it just happened to work out so well. And then this winter, when I decided to run, it's something that I truly feel in my heart is a calling for me. So if there's a way that I can be helpful to you, if there is questions that I can answer to you, answer for you, that's all I'm here to do. So please let me know how I can be helpful. I do have contact cards with phone number and email and all that good stuff too. So please come up, feel free to talk to me afterwards or anytime at all. Thank you.
Councilmember Bergman, thank you for the comments there. And Mr. Judge, do you have any closing statements you'd like to make as well?
Yeah. Thank you. I was raised down in southern Iowa on a family farm. We didn't always have a lot of money, but we had one thing that I think is more valuable, and that is we knew what it was like to be honest, to put a hard day's work in, to have faith, and then Hy-Vee gave me a chance to grow. And I was able to stay with a company, and I've loved my career at Hy-Vee and was able to work to the top of that company. And I don't say that to brag. I say that because I'm proud of it, and that I can use those skills to take the State House. And I will make this promise to you, that I will act with integrity, honest, I'll hold this job to the highest regard, and I'll also act with civility and show a great deal of compromise. But I also have steel in my spine to make sure that we are doing the things that matter most to Iowans. And that's education, and that's making sure that we have affordable and accessible health care, and that our tax structure is fair for everybody. So I appreciate you being here tonight. Anna, thank you for being here. Thank the Chamber for having me, and if anybody has any additional questions, I will stick around and be glad to talk to you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you both so much. On behalf of the Waukee Area Chamber of Commerce, we would like to extend our deepest gratitudes to both Councilmember Bergman and Mr. Judge here for taking time out of their personal lives to come in and share their thoughts with us. And as he's Mr. Judge said, in a civil way there. We appreciate everything you've done. We appreciate that you guys have come out to participate as well. And thank you all. That's what we've got.